If your erections have grown weaker, slower, or simply fail to occur anymore, it might not stem from age. It could be your breakfast. Yes, that's what I said. The initial meal you consume each morning might be subtly restricting blood flow to the exact area where you desire it to be more robust. Many men past 60 fail to notice this until the point of no return. They attribute it to testosterone, aging, or tension, when actually it's frequently a lacking nutrient, an incorrect routine, or merely the lack of genuine nourishment when their system requires it the most. I'm Dr. Rachel Ross. As a specialist in men's health with more than 30 years in clinical practice, aiding older men to regain power, capability, and assurance without medications, operations, or tricks. And the information I'm preparing to reveal to you could question all your previous beliefs about circulation, manhood, and getting older. Because this is the reality. Your system still desires to function. It still aims to direct blood surging strongly toward your lower regions, but you must supply it with what it's craving. And it's not available in a container. It's present in 4 straightforward, potent foods you can consume each and every morning. In this video today, I'm set to demonstrate precisely what those foods consist of, their mechanisms, ways to consume them, and the single unexpected error most men commit that hinders their outcomes. So remain tuned because your revival begins at breakfast. Prior to diving in, if you haven't done so yet, pause briefly to subscribe and click the bell symbol so you always catch every other authentic, science-supported advice crafted especially for men beyond 60. And if this content strikes a chord with you, enter 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, enter 0. Your input assists me in improving these videos for you. Okay, now let's move to the initial food. And it's likely been resting in your fridge for years without you grasping its genuine potential. It's basic, well known, and when consumed at the proper moment, it can ignite blood flow and start reviving power precisely where you require it the most. Let's discuss whole eggs. 1. Whole eggs, nature's catalyst for circulation. Allow me to recall a discussion I'll always remember. I was in my office seated with a patient called Frank, 66 years of age, retired firefighter. He bent forward, voice hushed, and stated, "Doc, it's humiliating. I rise and nothing's occurring below. It's as if my body's lost the method." He glanced down, embarrassed. But I didn't view a man defeated by years. I saw a man who had been misguided and neglected. When I inquired about his breakfast intake, he shrugged. Merely coffee, occasionally toast, and that was it. Similar to numerous men his age, Frank wasn't providing his body what it urgently required during the day's first hour. Fuel, actual fuel, not caffeine and carbohydrates, nutrients that activate blood flow, nerve reaction, and muscle engagement in the precise zones most men over 60 are forfeiting strength. That's the role of whole eggs. Not merely the whites, the full egg. The yolk contains the secret. For decades, we were advised to steer clear of them due to cholesterol. But that research is obsolete. The fact is, whole eggs represent one of nature's most thorough providers of nutrition that aids circulation. They're filled with vitamin D, which enhances testosterone creation. They're abundant in choline, which aids nerve operation and mental sharpness. They include B12, vital for red blood cell wellness. And crucially, they're brimming with leucine, an amino acid that initiates muscle restoration, particularly in the profound pelvic muscles, accountable for erections, equilibrium, and bladder management. I advise Frank to begin with simply 2 boiled eggs each morning. Nothing elaborate, no requirement for oil or butter, just authentic food exactly as his body was rousing. 3 weeks afterward, he returned with tears in his eyes. Doc, I awoke firm. First occasion in years I didn't believe it was feasible. That's the result when you cease depriving the exact systems attempting to bolster you. At this life phase, your body remains able. It's merely awaiting the correct cues. Whole eggs ingested within the day's first hour convey a distinct signal. It's time to mend, revive, and rekindle the man within. And here's the finest aspect. It's simple. 2 eggs, that's all. No prescriptions, no adverse effects, no queuing at the pharmacy. Just a serene, potent gesture of sustenance that launches your morning with vigor. But suppose I informed you there's an additional food equally uncomplicated that doesn't merely bolster your blood flow, but truly assists in purifying the very arteries that deliver blood to your groin. Most men beyond 60 entirely disregard it. Yet, it could be the essential element to unleashing even greater endurance and responsiveness. Let's discuss that next. 2. Oats with chia seeds, the cleanser for arteries. I'll always remember the day Henry entered my office. He was 71, freshly retired, and bore the appearance of a man who'd gradually started to detach from his own form. He described how his legs felt burdensome. His vitality was depleted, and closeness with his wife had turned more uncomfortable than close. It's as though I'm diminishing, he said, and I lack the knowledge to halt it. I questioned him on his morning meals. He regarded me with a weary grin and said, "Whatever's quick, typically some cereal, perhaps a muffin if available." It's a typical tale. Far too many older men commence their day with sugar, refined carbs, or absolutely nothing, unwittingly preparing their circulation for failure before the day truly commences. That's when I informed Henry regarding the subtle strength of oats with chia seeds. It lacks glamour. There's no promotional drive advancing oatmeal as a wonder remedy. But what oats accomplish within your body is truly extraordinary. They're abundant in a unique soluble fiber named beta-glucan. Consider it an inner sponge that absorbs cholesterol and softly cleans the interior of your arteries. This permits smoother, more robust blood flow, particularly to the regions where it counts the most. Now, when you incorporate chia seeds into the blend, you elevate that impact to a higher degree. These small seeds are packed with omega-3, fatty acids, magnesium, and potassium, elements that assist in relaxing blood vessels, diminishing inflammation, and upholding the subtle equilibrium of pressure that maintains blood circulating freely. In older men, circulation often decelerates, not solely from obstructions, but from the rigidifying and constricting of vessels across time. This basic breakfast pairing starts to counteract that. I advised Henry to substitute his refined breakfast with a heated bowl of oats adorned with a tablespoon of chia seeds, a dash of cinnamon, and some blueberries for flavor and antioxidants. 2 weeks later, he phoned me and uttered something I'll always recall. "Doc, I don't know if it's the oats or whatever, but I feel less heavy. Not merely in my legs, but in my entire body, even down there." That's the transformation. When your arteries widen, your vitality revives. Your legs feel more robust, and your groin, once chilly or insensitive, begins to feel vibrant again. Oats and chia won't grab headlines, but they can silently reinstate the very basis of your blood flow commencing every morning. And just as you believe it couldn't become any simpler, there's one additional food that astonished even me with how swiftly it operates. It's succulent, sweet, and frequently overlooked as merely a treat, but when consumed correctly, it replicates the effects of the strongest ED medications without any side effect at all. Let's discuss it next. 3. Watermelon, the Viagra from nature. When I initially advised my patient Bill to consume watermelon in the morning, he burst into laughter. Doc, really? He said, I assumed you were going to provide me something substantial, not instruct me to eat fruit like a child in summertime. But I remained steady because I understood what he didn't. That within that vivid red pulp is one of nature's strongest substances for male circulation. Watermelon is filled with an amino acid known as citrulline. Once in your body, it transforms into arginine, which enhances nitric oxide, a gas that instructs your blood vessels to dilate widely. It's the identical biological process employed by common erectile dysfunction medications. But here's the distinction. Watermelon collaborates with your body, not opposing it. There are no synthetics, no adverse effects, and no reliance. Just genuine, pure blood flow precisely where you require it. When blood vessels widen, more oxygen-enriched blood arrives at the pelvic area. That signifies firmer, more enduring erections, greater sensitivity, and improved control. And the greatest part, it occurs quickly. I've had men describe evident enhancements within several days of incorporating watermelon into their morning regimen. But here's the aspect most individuals overlook: the white rind. You know, the section you typically discard. That's where the level of citrulline is greatest. If you seek the complete advantage, don't discard it. Mix it into a smoothie or masticate it gradually. It might not taste sweet, but what it achieves within your body justifies it. Bill contacted me 2 weeks following the adjustment. I'm unsure if it's the watermelon or the reality that I'm at last eating breakfast, he stated, but something's certainly stirring. I could detect the astonishment in his voice, the skepticism, the tentative thrill. And I conveyed to him what I'll convey to you when you ultimately provide your body what it needs. It recalls how to react. Watermelon exceeds a fruit. It's a cue to your vascular system that you're still participating, that your body isn't surrendering, and that you're prepared to sense like yourself once more. And it's among the simplest alterations you can implement. A few pieces on an empty stomach, preferably first thing each morning, and you're already progressing toward improved circulation below the belt. But as potent as watermelon is, it's nonetheless just one component of the puzzle. Because if your aim is to not only become stronger, but also remain strong all day with improved balance, reduced pains, and greater energy in your legs, then there's one warm, soothing food you must learn about. It's modest, it's timeless, and when combined with the proper mineral, it turns into one of the most stabilizing and effective breakfast instruments I've ever observed. Let's delve into it next. 4. Steamed sweet potato with Celtic salt, the stabilizer for mornings. There's something profoundly reassuring about the aroma of warm food in the morning. Something authentic, something anchoring. For many of my older patients, breakfast has turned into a minor consideration, hurried, omitted, or substituted by coffee. But your body after 60 demands more than caffeine to commence. It demands minerals, consistent fuel, and a cue that states, "You're secure? Let's initiate this day properly." I had a patient named Thomas, 70 years old, who arrived at me with a limp and a persistent ache in his groin. He mentioned he felt like his legs were composed of lead and that every stride was a task. I inquired about his mornings. "Truthfully, Doc, I awake and just endure it. Perhaps toast, perhaps nothing." He didn't comprehend that his lower body, his muscles, his nerves, even his circulation was operating on empty from the instant he opened his eyes. I suggested he attempt something different. Half a steamed sweet potato, warm and tender, with merely a pinch of Celtic sea salt and a glass of warm water. Nothing additional. No sugar, no oil, just earth and mineral, genuine nourishment. Initially, he was doubtful, but within 3 days, something altered. He informed me, "Doc, I rose from bed this morning without clutching the dresser. My legs felt less heavy. It wasn't striking, but it was genuine." That's the strength of this pairing. Sweet potatoes are abundant in complex carbohydrates, which provide your muscles the type of gradual burning energy they desire. They don't surge your blood sugar or trigger your insulin into alarm. Instead, they deliver a pure, soothing energy origin that aids in fueling your movement, your circulation, and your concentration. Now, pair that with Celtic sea salt, a natural, unprocessed salt with over 80 trace minerals, and you supply your body what it's lacked: the capacity to hydrate at the cellular level, control nerve signals, and sustain healthy blood pressure without the downturn. Most men don't grasp that as we grow older, we lose not just muscle, but also our mineral equilibrium. That's why exhaustion, spasms, or that muted groin tension grow more frequent. It's not merely deterioration, it's exhaustion. But when you offer your body a food, it acknowledges something. It can take in something authentic, you start to stabilize. And stability forms the basis of strength. So commence with half a sweet potato and a pinch of sea salt. It may appear minor, but this practice can reconfigure how your body awakens, moves, and senses throughout the day. Now that you understand the 4 foods that bolster blood flow, balance, and bedroom energy, there's one concluding element that counts even more: what you truly do with this data. Because if you fail to act today, these foods will merely be information, not remedies. So, let's address precisely what you must do, beginning immediately to convert knowledge into tangible change you can experience. 5. What you need to do starting today. If you've reached this point, that indicates something significant to me. You care. You're not simply enduring the process of aging. You're still engaged in the struggle. You're still seeking responses, for remedies, for a method to recapture what time has attempted to seize. And the positive aspect is now you possess the instruments. You've discovered 4 potent natural foods that communicate directly to the segments of your body most impacted by age: your arteries, your muscles, your nerves, and yes, your sense of masculinity. But knowledge holds no value without action. I can't express how many men I've conversed with who agreed in my office, eyes broad, with awareness filled with optimism, and then exited the door and altered nothing. Weeks afterward, they'd return weary, aggravated, still anticipating something external to repair what only they could initiate from inside. That's not going to be you. Because the instant you choose to act just one minor step, the drive commences. And that step begins tomorrow morning. You don't need to transform your life entirely. You don't require perfection. You merely need to pledge to commencing your day with purpose. Select one of the 4 foods, whichever seems simplest to start with. Perhaps it's 2 whole eggs, softly boiled, prepared in moments. Perhaps it's a bowl of oats with chia seeds and cinnamon. Perhaps it's a few slices of watermelon on an empty stomach, or a warm half with a touch of Celtic salt and water. You don't require all 4 on day 1. You just require 1 and persistence. The first hour following your awakening is your most potent chance. Your blood vessels are receptive. Your hormones are adjusting. Your nervous system is awaiting guidance. What you provide your body in those initial instances either prepares you for vitality, power, and connection, or drives you one step further into deterioration. And once that cycle starts, it accumulates. That's why even after a few days of selecting correctly, so many men begin to observe shifts, not just physically, but emotionally. More warmth in the groin, less burden in the legs, more clarity in thought, and that subtle spark of something they haven't sensed in years, hope. So here's your invitation to action. Don't delay, not until next Monday. Not when you feel more prepared, not when it's convenient. Commence tomorrow morning, provide your body what it's requesting while it's still requesting, because nothing alters unless you do. And the alteration you're seeking commences with the very first bite. Now, before we conclude, there's one last thing I must convey. To you, it's not concerning food or age or even biology. It's about something much profounder, something that distinguishes the men who diminish from the men who ascend again. And I assure you'll want to listen. Let's conclude this together. 6. Final message. After over 3 decades of collaborating with men over 60, I've acquired something most textbooks never impart. Aging doesn't remove your strength. It just awaits you to relinquish it. And most often what we yield first isn't our body, it's our belief. The belief that we can still advance, the belief that something basic like what we consume for breakfast could genuinely alter how we move, how we sense, how we love. But let me be explicit. I've witnessed too much to accept that decline is unavoidable. I've observed men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s reverse things, reclaim their circulation, their vitality, their intimacy, commencing with one minor choice to nourish their body with intent. You've just discovered 4 potent foods that aren't elements of a fashionable diet or a promotional scheme. They're authentic, obtainable, natural instruments that communicate to your biology in a language it still recalls. Whole eggs to reconstruct the deep pelvic muscles that uphold your power. Oats with chia seeds to purify your arteries and restore blood flowing. Watermelon to widen your vessels like nature's own nitric oxide treatment. And sweet potatoes with Celtic salt to steady your mornings and replenish your muscles with the minerals they urgently desire. Each one of these can turn into more than just food. They can become a ceremony, a cue to your body that you're not surrendering, that you're still engaged, still prepared to appear, still ready to feel vibrant. That's what this concerns. Not merely reinstating erections or circulation or hormones, but reinstating dignity, reinstating the belief that you're still a man in every meaning of the term. You don't need to accomplish it all at once. You don't need to achieve perfection, but you do need to commence because no change ever arises from information alone. Real evolution only starts when information transforms into action. And yes, I recognize some of you viewing may still be doubtful. You may ponder if it's too late for you, if your body's already progressed too far along the path of decline. But I can assure you this, it's not. I have observed men who hadn't experienced arousal in years recover sensitivity. I have observed frail, exhausted legs become stronger. I have observed marriages rekindle because one man chose to eat differently. So don't depart from this video considering it was intriguing. Depart ready to act tomorrow morning. Commence with one of the 4 foods. Initiate with that first bite. Allow that basic gesture to become the beginning of something larger. Your restoration to strength, to closeness, to life on your terms. This isn't about clinging to the past. It's about forging what follows next. Because your narrative isn't concluded, not even near, and breakfast.